กันดีกว่านะคะกับหัวข้อ Gen at Startup Thailand Keynote Startup and the Opportunity of Emerging Market ค่ะ Well, we'd like to start for the second keynote speech today, which is the long way for the Gen at Startup Thailand Keynote Startups and the Opportunity of Emerging Market. And our honorable speaker, we join with us upon the stage. I'm pleased to invite Mr. Ashwin Bakune, Country Head of Seemba. Please welcome him on the floor.
Hi. Hello. Hi. Sawadee-kap. Well, good morning. How is everyone? Good. Nice. Perfect. Okay. So it's a hot Bangkok morning, but I'm really excited to speak about what I'm going to speak today. Okay. So what are emerging markets? How do you describe emerging markets? How do you differentiate emerging markets from already developed markets? That's what we're going to continue over to the startup ecosystem in this presentation. Okay. So let me start by asking you this. Are we looking at emerging markets in the right way? Are we fully grasping their potential to disrupt the global ecosystem, the startup ecosystem? Now, these are some of the questions that really excite us because answering these questions makes us feel that we have the key to the next 5 years of the global startup ecosystem. Now, over the past few years, I've had the pleasure of working on global products, but with the niche on the emerging market ecosystems. And I've been able to witness firsthand the magnitude of disruption of the innovation that is happening in these economies. And today, I would like to share with you some of my excerpts of how these products which were developed, which were marketed for emerging markets, have actually disrupted the global economies. How do we think about emerging economies? Okay, so when we think about emerging economies, we think of aspiration. We think of aspirations of the people who live in the economies. We want to buy Mikey shoes. We want to buy Gucci bags. You know, if you're lucky, we can even go up to Dolce & Banana once, right? But this is the scarce reality of when we imagine emerging markets. When I tell you to think about emerging markets, probably this is a picture that comes to your mind, right? Now I know I'm generalizing. I know I am. And you know, for a person who's coming from India, generalizing about emerging economies, I mean, you can understand. There's no more irony than that, right? But what I fear is, like all the jokes apart, what I fear is how we look at emerging markets is way wrong than what the ecosystem is right now. We have all been aspiring to move towards the developed economies. We aspire to create products for the developed economies, so the people who are literate enough, who are intelligent enough, who have the capacity to pay for the products that we are building, right? But we don't see emerging economies in a way that we should have seen over the past couple of years. That's where I think we have a lot to improve upon, because some of us have beautiful ideas about how to help emerging economies, about how to go about doing the changes, making disruptions in these economies, but the magnitude of this disruption is still beaten on a lot of us. That is where we miss out on the other side of the street of these emerging economies. In countries like India and Kenya and Rwanda, there's so many disruptions happening that are beating the global markets in terms of innovations. And to name a few, let's say mobile payments. Paytm in India, M-Pesa in Kenya, WeChat in China, right? These are global products that were first devised in these emerging markets and then moved on to the global scale. When you see that disruption happening, and when you look at the fact that now global companies like Apple and Samsung now are moving towards Apple Pay and Samsung Pay to compete with these products, you can analyze the impact that the products developed for these emerging markets are actually having on a global level. The point that I've been coming here, like the point that I'm trying to make, is to establish a pattern. the pattern that innovation, which was earlier seen as moving from the developed economies to the developing ones, to the emerging economies, right, is not holding true anymore. It's completely changed, and it has come to a point this year that it's almost reversed. We are seeing innovations now which are going from the emerging economies to the developed economies, as I've displayed in the examples above. This comes to the point of asking the question, why? Why is this happening? How is this happening? To answer the question of why is this happening, there are a couple of key points. And over the presentation, I would like to demonstrate this by comparing a developed economy, let's say Italy or other countries, European countries, and a developing economy, India, because that's where we're working right now. This is the demographic graph of the India and the India and Italy. What you see here in Italy, there are very few people over the age group of 75. There are lots of people in the age group from 35 to 65, and there are few people again in the 0 to 35 range. The actual numbers are in the Italian economy, less than 17% of the people are under the age of 35. 17%. Now compare to the Indian demographics. There are very few people from 75 to 100, which is the case with Italy as well. Then there are little more people in the age group of 35 to 65, and see the number of people from 0 to 35. 67% of the Indian population lives in the age group of 0 to 25. 67%. Now, that's a number which, if I tell you it as a number, you won't understand. But you have to understand that the demographic, which is from the 0 to 35 years, the under 35 years age group, is the productive workforce, is the workforce that defines the economy. It's the workforce that the middle class is made up of. This brings us to the middle class question. We are seeing right now, in this year and the years to come next, the middle class effect. About 30 years back, less than 15% of the entire world population was in the middle class. There were lots of poor people. There were lots and lots of poor people. In a couple of years, by about 2030, almost 1.5 billion people, new people, are going to move from the lower class to the middle class. Now, that is what we call the middle class effect. What does that mean for the economy? What does that mean for the startup ecosystem? The sweet spot. This is something we call the sweet spot. Now, how we define sweet spot is when a portion of the society moves from the lower class to the middle class by the millions, we define it as sweet spot. Are we hitting it right now? Of course we are. India is going to hit the sweet spot by the end of this year. Indonesia is going to hit the sweet spot by 2019. Kenya by 2025. It's not happening tomorrow. It's not happening the day after. It's happening right now. Everyone is moving towards the sweet spot. Now, what does sweet spot actually entail to? When you empower the middle class consumers with the access to money, with the access to products, and with the access to getting something while sitting on their own seats, that creates growth. So there's a big phenomena where the size of the middle class in a country, the size of the middle class, is exactly proportionate to how developing the economies of that country. So that's what we are hitting right now in India, and that's what we are going to hit in the next few years over the next couple of developing countries, as we call them. The next factor that empowers startup ecosystems and emerging economies, as we call them, is the average education. Now, look at this map. This is about 30 years ago, about 25, 30 years ago. This was the average education over the world. The blue ones are the countries which are almost 100% educated. The orange and the red ones basically mean that they're not so educated. This was 30 years ago. This is the map now. In the next few years, by 2022, World Bank estimates that almost the entire world, there'll be almost 100% literacy, the entire world. Now, what that entails is that when you bring education to the masses, which is, by the way, happening by ways of mobile communication, by ways of internet, that empowers the people to do some things that they've never done before. That empowers them to reach out to the masses. So you can sit at your home, create your own website, and reach out to the masses. You can sell products, you can educate people, you can spread awareness about public health. You can do everything that you want. Now, how do economies and government benefit from this? So this is where I ask you the question, what is next? Two things. We first need to think of innovation as emerging markets only products. Because you can't solve problems in economies which have already solved most of their problems. You can solve problems in economies which are yet to solve all of their problems. So that has to be the first point, to think of innovation from an emerging market first perspective. The second point is that we need to recognize this and we need to embrace this change. We need to embrace the fact that the economies which are emerging, which we call emerging right now, are not really emerging, but they have already reached a level where the global scale is actually learning from them. So the student has actually become the master. Now, so I work for a company called Seemba. We took this motto by heart. We are actually working day and night to be the enablers for these uprising emerging economies, the Indias, the Chinas, the Thailands, the Indonesias, the Kenyas, the Rwandas. We are working with these economies, we are working with the governments, we are working with the state departments, we are working with the public health departments, we are working with every nook and corner of the country which we can access to actually leverage the power of getting the people on board online and getting them access to everything that they can. That was not possible a couple of years back. Why are we doing that? This is why. About 4 or 5 years back, 73% of the innovations, the startups that came into the world, were startups from the developed economies, the so-called developed economies. And less than 25-30% was from emerging economies. Fast forward to 2017, 37% is the number that is from the developed economies. And over 60% is coming from developing economies, the emerging economies, as we say them. So that answers the question of why. Why look at emerging economies from a startup ecosystem perspective? What is next? How do we make change in the society which doesn't, you may ask the question, how do we make change in the society which doesn't know how to maybe go online? What is Google? What is Google Maps? What is a website, right? All these emerging economies ask these questions because it's a steep learning curve. If you want to create a website, it's a steep learning curve. You have to do the PSC, you have to do the design, HTML. It's difficult work. So a lot of small and medium businesses can't do that because they don't have the education to do that. So how do we go about it? We are doing that in India right now by Seemba. So what do? We are empowering SMBs. We have already empowered about 20,000 SMBs to create their own online product portfolio on the web. And the best part, it's all done in under 60 seconds. 60 seconds is all anyone needs to create a website, to create a fully functioning web portal with all their products, with the description about their products, with the description about their business, and everything that you need in the world for the end users, for the businesses' end users, to find the actual businesses. 60 seconds. How do we do this? We have an Android app. It's called Seemba. When a small and medium business downloads the app, he spends 60 seconds in the application. He enters his business name, he enters the phone number, he enters his location, he enters probably his opening hours, he answers like 6 or 7 simple questions, and bam, he's online. His website is online. So for example, let's say, me for example, I have a cafe, it's called Ashwin's Cafe. How do we go about it? I enter the name as Ashwin's Cafe, I enter a couple of more information, and in 60 seconds, I'll have my website online called seemba.com/Ashwin's Cafe. Now, this is all well, good and done in theory, but how do we make practical changes on the lower levels? Because less than 10% of the economy lives in the metropolitan areas, right? The rest of it lives in the rural areas, lives in Tier 2 and Tier 3 and Tier 4 cities. So how do we go about making a change in these systems? Two ways. One, we partner with the governments, and second, we partner with the SMBs. So the first one, when we partner with businesses, in the first criteria of businesses, the businesses have access to a suite of 5 services, which we call the Seemba power-ups. Now, what are they? One is mobile presence. The first step of being online, of making the users know that you have a business is being online. So now you have a website and you're listed on Google. So we make you SEO friendly. We make all your recommendations come on Google Maps, on Bing Maps, on Yellow Pages, everywhere in the world. So you are visible everywhere. So if the end user wants to find your business, super easy. He just searches it and your business is there. That's the first one, visibility. The second one is services. Once the business is online and he's getting queries, that's where we empower the users to connect with their clients. So the businesses can directly chat with their clients over WhatsApp, over Messenger, or a phone call. The third one is the CRM services. Now, what if the business needs to put out its products? Let's say I want to sell coffee beans, and I want to describe them, and I want to show the quantity. That's where the CRM comes in. So when the user is using a CRM, he can have his entire product portfolio online. The next is operations management. It's a small business, right? So he would definitely not have needed a chartered accountant or maybe an executive assistant or things like that, human resources to manage his business yet. But since we are growing the business right now, he'll need those services. So we provide those services as well. And then we provide third-party integrations, which include everything from Paytm, from PayZip, from Flipkart to Amazon to Alipay, every service possible on this earth. Coming to the second part, let's say the businesses are online. Coming to the second part, the governments. What do we do with the governments? We set up digital agendas for the government. Now, we contact governments, and we tell the governments which are willing to participate in the digital agenda. For example, in this case, in India, the Indian government right now is focusing towards a completely cashless economy. So we propose to them that, hey guys, we want to partner up with you to partner all the businesses, bring them online, and make the economy cashless. That's when the governments start to realize the importance and the disruption when a small app can have to a large number of SMBs. So that's how we contribute with the governments and move to the scale which was not possible before. So we move to rural areas, Tier 3, Tier 4, Tier 5 cities, everywhere in the country. If you look at the map, this is what Maharashtra looks like right now. So this is the number of Seemba users that you see all over Maharashtra. We have close to 24,000 users in Maharashtra right now, and we are aiming for about 500,000 by the end of this year over the entire country. It's an ambitious goal, but we are super sure we're going to get it because our growth is not paid at all. It's completely organic. It's completely word of mouth. So when people hear about a service which can bring you online for free, you don't need to do anything. Just spend 60 seconds of your time. They want to tell their friends. They want to tell their families. So that's how we are growing. We're already 24,000 strong in India. We're going to grow up to 500,000 by the end of this year. This brings me to the biggest project that I've worked on till yet. It's called the Bring Maharashtra Online Initiative, the BMO. What is BMO? This initiative is partnered up with the government of Maharashtra. Maharashtra is the third biggest, largest state in India. This is an initiative with the government of Maharashtra where we are empowering a lot of SMBs, small businesses who have no way of getting finances from microfinances, who have in no way getting, there's a way for them to get online. We are empowering them to get online. We are empowering them to become e-commerce stores in themselves. We are empowering them to lose the foothold of middlemen and be the middlemen themselves and generate more revenues. These are the metrics. So we are already in 2 cities. We are in Mumbai and we are in Pune. We have about 24,000 businesses online. We have 200 digital India ambassadors. Now, this is the incredible part. These are volunteers volunteering their time in cities, walking on foot, going from door to door, business to business, knocking on the footsteps, asking the business to come online. They spend 30 minutes with every business, 30 minutes with every business every day to explain to them how this is going to be beneficial for the business. They tell them how it's going to generate more revenues, how it's going to generate more customers, how it's going to generate more business eventually. And they spend 30 minutes and then they bring those businesses online. We have 200 digital ambassadors in Maharashtra alone right now. We have 10 business unions and associations who have already partnered up with us to bring their people who want to venture out into business, who want to venture out into the startup model, who have been doing that as a family business for a long time, but now want to sell it as a product. We want to bring them online, and that's where our partnerships with the associations and the unions come into the picture. And we have close to about 15 PR mentions all over India, from the biggest magazines to the websites. This is Tarikul. He lives in Nanded. Nanded is a small village. It's a village of about 750 people in Maharashtra. This guy is a barber. He used to have about 10 to 15 people per day. That's on a good day. That's on a weekend when people are free. Now, once he's put his website on the map, and once we had started promoting it, because this is the project that we took up as the ad project, he gets about 35 to 40 businesses every day, because people from all around the village have seen his posters on the wall, have seen his posters on the billboards, and they want to see what is this about, and they come and want to see his business and get their haircut done by him. This is another guy, Shiv. He lives in Mumbai. This is Faraji. He's Kenya. So this guy is another brilliant guy. He is a clay artist. So initially, his entire demographic of his sales people used to be just in his city. Now he is spread to over a 200-kilometer radius where he sells his products everywhere, and he has come on a professional suite with us in which we provide him e-commerce solution as well, where he can sell his products online. He sells close to 100 idols a day just through the websites, just through the Seemba website. This is the Bring Maharashtra Online initiative. We have partnered up with the Young India Fellowship and the Young Inspirators Network to bring this online. We have partnered up with them to educate people. We have partnered up with them to empower people by telling them the power of communicating to the audience. These are the people who are interacting with the businesses, with the small and medium businesses, and getting them online. This was an event which was held very recently, about a month back. We had close to 700 students from one college who became volunteers with us and who are going to now do this program in a city near Nanded. That's where the college is. And that is all about the Bring Maharashtra Online initiative. This brings me to the last point. What are the values that we care about? What are the initiatives that we as emerging markets should care about? Why should we care about emerging markets at all? It's not because there are lots of problems to solve. Of course there are. Like, we have become developed. India, Thailand, Indonesia, we've become developed at a lot of levels, but there's still a lot of problems to solve. But that's not the reason to focus on emerging markets as a startup ecosystem. The reason is that over the next couple of coming years, the emerging markets are going to be the workforce powerhouses of the world. This is going to be the place where everyone is going to be coming and joining the initiative. So you should be a part of it. You should want to be a part of it. The reason is not because of a social ends to the means that you want to do. The reason should be that this is the economy that's going to bring the world online, and that's going to bring innovations to the world which are not happening at the pace that they were happening a couple of years back. And that's where I end my speech, because my time's up a lot. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much to you. Well, thank you for sharing your insightful presentation with us today. ทุกท่านได้เห็นแล้ว